My name is Anubhav. This is season 3, episode 1 of the Days Project. And it's a recap / visual diary of sorts of January and February. And let's just jump right into it. So in January, Devadeep messaged me about a workshop that was happening during the later weeks of January, and it was about analog photography. And knowing me, I really wanted to do one of these, so I just jumped at the registration page, and before I even knew it, I was on my way, already an hour late because of traffic, and I huffed and puffed my way to the workshop place itself. The workshop was hosted by Srinivas, who is a stellar photographer, and his work and his profile will be linked in the description down below, as all the people who I've met in the workshop itself. Trust me, they're really good. And I saw a few familiar faces as well, so that kind of, it was the beginning of the workshop itself. And on day 1 and day 2, essentially we just kind of got to know the ins and outs of a few camera bodies, a few of those that I haven't really used before, like the Mamiya C series, a few SLRs as well, including Bhaskar's gorgeous Canon F1, I think. I do not exactly remember. It had a gorgeous viewfinder. But anyways, on the first day itself, we kind of just jumped right off of the deep end, and we made our own developer and fixer and all those things, and we kept it in stock and everything, and it was really nice. Shini showed us the ropes, and he kind of just let us figure it out by ourselves. And I love learning on that very hands-on approach because it gives my brain the tactile feedback it needs. On the third day, we loaded up our SLRs and we just went out for a photo walk. Comparison's sake, we were asked to shoot a stop underexposed so that we can see the differences. The differences were incredibly stark. These are from a friend's scanner which I don't really know how to use, so forgive me for the lack of cleaning or the artifacts itself. But in the underexposed photos, you can see there's a much more richness to it. Srini told us that there would be richness to it, but I honestly didn't think it would be this rich because I usually shoot black and white at the meter reading. That was like the first takeaway, the clear takeaway that we had. On the fourth day, we loaded up our TLRs, essentially our medium format bodies, and we went out for another photo walk. Bear in mind, we have just 12 photos this time around, so we were extra careful, just kind of shooting each and every single frame, right? Luckily for us, for the entirety of the group, that day was Saraswati Puja, and if you're anyone who is even near about the Guwahati area or some from where I am from, you would know that Saraswati Puja is kind of the day for young couples to have time with their partners and kind of have the open area or the public spaces available to them without being worried about a lot of other things that we will not get into right now. It was honestly really cute, and I'm really grateful for the people who were kind enough to let me take photos of them. And if you're watching this, thank you so much. But 12 exposures I got, I am honestly not very happy about a few of them because I didn't take the time necessary to kind of line up a few shots. But anyways, these are the photos that I had taken. I do like most of them, but I think I could have done a bit better. And honestly, this is just me, my competitive side coming through. But anyways, it is what it is. On the 4th and the 5th days, we kind of all went through the photos that we had shot, all of us. We also went through each other's works and we kind of gave each other feedback. Srini was kind enough to let us know what we could do better, what we could improve on, and we all honestly came to the decision that we needed practice with the fact that we had to develop that, because that was what we were doing on the 4th day. I am saying this out of order because again, you would develop and then scan your photos, but you saw the photos already. So on the 4th day, we took out our spools, we put them in the tanks, which was a nerve-wracking process. And honestly, I do not mean we when I said we, it was all Srini doing it because we were all too chicken to do it. It looked very intimidating, I'll be very honest. So Srini was kind enough to load us our films onto the tanks, but he was also kind of telling us that you should practice. And we did practice, but at least I didn't have the courage to do my own role, loop my own role onto the spool itself. For the development later. Let's get rid of the water bit first. That's just above. If that's the ready enough. Just put it against the light when it happens. Okay. I'll do it for 105. Okay, now quickly get the grab this and then you pour the wash and pour it doesn't matter. It just rinse the stock, it doesn't matter. It was fun. Good density. Good density. Beautiful density. She looked in between both of us. After developing, which honestly required way too much effort than I had originally anticipated, we went to scanning using Srini's small scanner that he has, which is yellow color and looks like a small transformers, kind of like this one honestly. Hello, focus, thank you very much. So started scanning on the 4th day and the 5th day because there was a lot of film to scan, and we had a lot of fun because I was also learning a lot from Devraj about scanning and what you could do to make the scans better and everything. I am not very good at it honestly, but it's a learning curve. And I know it's a really quick recap of the workshop itself, and I could have done much more justice to the fact that we learned so much and we had such a great time. But honestly, I'm just kind of going through all of it because there's also a whole another month to go through, and February has a lot of things happening. And that kind of wraps up the workshop. The workshop was incredible. I'm really grateful that Devadeep, you pitched it to me. So if you're watching this, thank you so much. And thank you Northeast LightBox as well for organizing this in the first place. And Srini, you have my heart. I just said that we all had decided that we kind of needed a lot of practice to just to get familiar with the spools and how the developer tank works, because none of us had that much of time with any of these things up until then. And that is what we did. We ordered film, black and white mostly, because we had D76, so no point in getting color. And we shot a lot, and I always wanted to test out the reciprocity failure rule for a given film stock, which I got to do finally, and the pictures came out really nice, which you'll see right now. At least in my opinion, they're really nice. And Devraj basically asked us to come over to his place so that we could develop it. And we have not loaded up until then our own film stocks, working film stocks, exposed film stocks on a canister in the bag, in the dark bag, and it was nerve-wracking. Honestly, it was so scary. So yeah, by the time we got to Devraj's place, I had also asked a friend of mine, Ankan, who is a cinematographer and a photographer, and he graciously agreed to shoot the remainder of the day. This is his footage that you'll be seeing from now on, and thank you so much, Ankan, for letting me use your footage. I owe you one. This formula. Lots of what?
Double. So we'll need how much water? Let's see how much we need. Otherwise we'll have to process liners.
It's like finish all the water measurements, water filling first.
See, the developer is slowly turning yellow.
Don't have to.
This is water. How much was thrown?
Last time it was around 300 ml. That much. We readied all our chemicals, we readied the bags and stuff, and I was the first one to go to load up my film onto the spools, and you could see in the photos my forehead is glistening. I was so scared about ruining or messing up the film. Surprisingly, loading 120 was very easy compared to all the 35mm rolls that I had practiced putting on the spool. Before I even knew it, the roll was in the spool, it was in the tank, and we were good to go. This was the scariest part because I didn't expect it to go this smoothly, but I'm just glad it did. So then we start off developing the whole film. We put on the developer, we did the whole agitations and stuff, we went the whole 9 yards, because of course you have to go the whole 9 yards.
Because this hole goes to the bottom. Oh, how?
We didn't do any push or pull processing on these talks because again this was our first time kind of doing it by our own. Devraj was there, but he was very adamant that we had to do it by ourselves to get the memory, to get our muscle memories right, and I'm very glad that he did that, because the next time we kind of went back to develop our later films, it was much easier. Up until the point where you kind of wash the film out of the canister, it's very nerve-wracking because you kind of follow rules that are there laid out for you. You can play around with those rules because you obviously have the freedom to do so. But for this first role, we didn't really want to experiment because we wanted to see the baseline for what we could have done if we were left to our own devices. It was around like 13 to 12 minutes of agitation time and all the others as well. So in total for my 120 role, it took us around like 20-ish minutes to get it all fully developed and fixed and washed as well. And I think the video will do you justice about the reaction on my face and everybody else's face, because again this was the first role that we had done after the workshop itself, that we had done by ourselves under the guidance of like a person who is much more experienced than us. But again, this is the first role. This is how it played out. Soap bath, and then we just keep it.
First soap bath.
1 minute.
First soap bath.
1 minute agitation.
The first, it's like heady, no, you get stressed.
Yeah, it's developed. Look at the density, Anubhav. Look at the density, man.
Lord.
Now Vaishnav, the weighted slip is there.
I mean, when has art been convenient?
And as you can see, like everybody was really glad that it came out well, and we went on to do other roles on that day and on the next following few days as well. So I did a 35mm roll as well, which I didn't record much of it, mainly because it's the same process but with a shorter developing time. For the second day, this is the key takeaway that I had, because I was pretty accustomed to the agitation part up until now. On the second day when I was developing 35mm film, it was not as daunting as to go spool it up into the tank itself, because I had already done 120, which is supposed to be the harder medium of the two. We did the 35mm as well. We got them scanned. So these are the images that I had made on the 120 and 35, and I do really like these images, and I'm really grateful for the people who have volunteered to kind of model, or model is not the right word, for agreeing to be on the other side of the camera. Yeah, so this kind of wraps up January and February. This is a very quick video and I hope you like the images because I really liked them. I know this is a lot of things in a very short video, but there were a lot more things that I didn't go into much more detail, because if I did, it would be like 40 minutes long. I'm not doing the workshop justice. You had to be there to kind of like live through the happiness that I had, or to see the happiness on my face. But thank you so much for organizing this, Northeast Lightbox. It really does hold a very special place in my heart. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you everybody who was a part of my life for the last 2 months. It might not sound like a lot had happened, but you had to be there to live through it, which it feels a lot when you're kind of going through the thick of it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.